Hey everyone, welcome back. You know how sometimes a song can just totally hit you right in the feels? Well, today we're diving deep into how music can be so emotionally powerful, especially when it comes to movies and TV shows and stuff.
Yeah, it's really interesting how music can basically become like another character in a story, especially in this film we're looking at today. Culpa Mia. Have you heard of it?
It's on my list,
Y-
but yeah, fill me in.
Okay, so Culpa Mia, it's a Spanish film.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it mixes like romance and drama, but with this really strong theme of personal growth?
Mhm.
And the main character is dealing with some tough stuff from her past mistakes and guilt and all these like super intense emotions.
Yeah, sounds heavy.
It is, but it seems like it really connects with Gen Z.
Makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
who hasn't made some mistakes they wish they could take back?
Right. And I think a lot of young people are going through those same things, like figuring themselves out and finding their place. It can be a lot.
Totally.
Yeah.
But you were saying the music actually helps tell that story.
Exactly. It's like the music is a guide for the main character's emotional journey.
Ooh, I like that. A sonic roadmap.
Yeah. Certain songs, they highlight specific feelings or like turning points in the story, even that feeling of wanting to escape, which I think we can all relate to sometimes.
For sure. So it's not just setting the mood, it's actually pushing the plot forward.
Absolutely. There's this one scene where the main character is really struggling with her past, and the song that starts playing is called Mi Quiero Ir by Lucilon.
Okay, what does that mean?
It translates to I want to leave.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, the lyrics and the tone, everything about it just screams like longing and this need to break free.
I can see how that would add a whole other level to the movie. It's like you're not just watching it, you're feeling it too.
Right. And that's what makes Culpa Mia so powerful, I think.
So we've got this Gen Z film with all these deep emotions, and then a soundtrack that seems to get exactly what the characters are going through. It's like a recipe for some serious tears, right?
Maybe. But it's not all doom and gloom, the Culpa Mia soundtrack. It's all about balance. You've got the more serious introspective moments, but there are also tracks that are super energetic, even rebellious.
Okay, now we're talking. What kind of songs are we talking
Well,
about?
how about Gasolina by Daddy Yankee? You know that one.
Of course, a classic.
Right. It's such a high energy reggaeton track, and it instantly injects this feeling of freedom and youthful energy into the film.
Yeah. And for a Gen Z audience, it's like a cultural touchstone.
Exactly. But it's not just about using music that's popular with a certain group.
Right.
It's more about understanding how music connects with our emotions on a deeper level.
Yeah, how it can take us back to a certain time or place or make us feel a certain way.
Exactly. And that's what makes the Culpa Mia soundtrack so fascinating.
Okay, so we've established that Culpa Mia isn't just throwing random songs in there. They're carefully chosen and placed to take us on an emotional roller coaster with the characters. But let's get into some specifics. What are some examples of how they use music to tell this story? What really stood out to you?
One thing that really struck me was, one thing that really struck me was how they use these like recurring musical themes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's not just about the individual songs, it's about how they all work together to create these bigger ideas that add another layer of meaning to the story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. It's like those little musical clues hinting at what's going on beneath the surface.
Exactly. So one of the most noticeable themes is this idea of like longing and escape. Remember we talked about that song Mi Quiero Ir?
Yeah, I want to leave, right?
Right. And that song, it really captures how much the main character wants to just run away from her past and all the guilt she's carrying. And I think that feeling really resonates with a lot of Gen Z listeners too.
Yeah, I can see that. Wanting a
Um,
fresh start, a do-over.
Totally. Especially when you're at that age where you're trying to figure out who you are and what you want to do with your life,
Yeah,
you know?
it can feel like there's so much pressure.
Exactly. And it's not just that one song. There are others like K by Cigarettes After Sex.
Oh, I love that song.
It's so good, right? And it has this really haunting atmospheric sound that makes you feel like you want to just like withdraw from the world and escape into something else.
It's like the music is literally giving a voice to those feelings that are hard to put into words.
Yes, exactly. But then as the story moves along, you start to hear a change in the music.
Oh, really? How so?
It's like a new theme emerges, one of empowerment and release. Like the main character is starting to face her problems head on and take control of her life, and the music reflects that change.
That's so cool. So the soundtrack is like growing along with the main character.
Right. There's this one song, Sakudete.
What does that mean?
It means shake it off. And it's this super upbeat track that plays at all the key moments when she's making positive changes and starting to let go of the guilt.
I love that. It's like the music is cheering her on.
Yes, exactly. And it's not just the lyrics, it's the whole energy of the music that shifts. You go from those slower, sadder songs to these more driving rhythmic tracks that give you this feeling of hope and momentum.
It's like the soundtrack is taking us on this emotional journey right along with her.
Exactly. We feel everything she's feeling. But I'm curious, how do they use music to handle those really big, dramatic scenes?
The ones that are just like packed with emotion.
Yeah, that's where the Culpa Mia soundtrack gets really interesting. They use music to really intensify those key moments. You feel every bit of the tension and fear, and then ultimately the relief.
Okay, give me an example. What scene really sticks out to you?
Okay, so there's this one scene where the main character is basically facing the consequences of her actions. And she's about to lose something super important to her, and the weight of everything she's done wrong is just crushing her. It's a really heavy scene.
Oh, wow.
And the song they chose for it is just perfect. It's called Strange Effect by Unloved.
Ooh, just the name sounds intense.
Right. And it's this haunting atmospheric song that builds and builds this feeling of dread and like something terrible is about to happen. And it just perfectly matches her anxiety. You can practically feel her heart pounding along with the music.
Wow, that's powerful. It sounds like the music is basically a character in itself.
It totally is. And then to contrast that, there's this incredible moment later in the film when she finally has a breakthrough, like
Yeah.
a moment of self-forgiveness and acceptance. And you know what song they use?
Tell me.
Remember Securite, that Shake It Off song?
Yeah.
Well, it comes back in full force during that scene, and it's just perfect. The music mirrors that shift from despair to hope, from guilt to self-acceptance. It's like the music is celebrating her victory.
Wow, that gives me chills.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much thought goes into a good soundtrack.
Yeah.
It's so much more than just background music.
Right. It's a crucial part of telling the story. And that's one of the reasons why it resonates so deeply with audiences, especially with Gen Z.
I mean, they've grown up with music being such a huge part of their lives,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. It's how they express themselves and connect with each other.
So when a film like Culpa Mia uses music in such a thoughtful way, it's like speaking their language.
Exactly. It creates a deeper connection, a sense of understanding and shared experience.
Which is so important, especially for young people who are still trying to figure things out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like the movie is saying, hey, we see you, we get it, and they're using music to do it,
Yeah,
which is so smart because music just hits different for Gen Z.
it really does. And you know what's even more interesting? Music can actually affect us physically, too, not just emotionally.
Wait, really? How so?
Well, think about it. Have you ever noticed how, like, a really fast song can get your heart racing? Or how a slow, chill song can help you, like, relax and unwind?
Yeah, for sure. But I never really connected it to like my actual body, you know?
It's crazy, right? Music can actually influence our body's physical responses. It's not just in our heads.
Wow, it's so cool. So it's like our whole being is tuned into the music.
Exactly. And filmmakers are starting to pick up on this. They're realizing that music isn't just like a nice background thing. It's a powerful tool that can make stories so much more immersive and impactful.
You're making me want to rewatch all my favorite movies and pay more attention to the soundtracks.
I think you'll be surprised by how much you notice. And it's not just movies and TV either. Music is everywhere, right? It shapes our moods, it influences how we see the world, it even connects us to other people.
It's true. Music is like the universal language. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Culpa Mia, what's the one thing you want our listeners to take away from all this?
I'd say pay attention to how music makes you feel, both emotionally and physically. Notice how different songs affect your mood, your energy, even your heartbeat. Music is such a powerful force, and the more we understand how it influences us, the more we can understand ourselves.
I love that. It's like we're all conducting our own personal orchestras with the music that speaks to us the most. So next time you're listening to your favorite playlist, really take a moment to listen. You might be surprised by what you learn about yourself and the world around you. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive, everyone. Until next time, keep exploring the power of music and keep those playlists going.